Hey, it's Marie Forleo, and you are watching Marie TV, the place to be to create a business and life you love. And you know, one of the things I learned asking you, our beloved viewers, about what you'd like to see more of is that you want to see more Marie TV viewers. People who are out there in the world shaking things up and making it happen, doing what they love. So when I heard about this particular Marie TV viewer, this woman who is making big waves out there, taking on the big major food corporations, I knew I had to have her on. Vani Hari started foodbabe.com to spread information about what's really in the American food supply. Her activism brought national attention at the Democratic Convention when she protested in front of the U.S. Secretary of Agriculture on the issue of GMO labeling. Vani has taken on and gotten response from huge food corporations like Kraft, Chipotle, Whole Foods, McDonald's, Coca-Cola, and Red Mango. She's been profiled in the New York Times, USA Today, the Washington Times, and appeared on the Dr. Oz Show, Inside Edition, Good Morning America, CNN, and others. Vani, so great to have you here on Marie TV.
Thank you so much, Marie. You've been a huge inspiration to me. I'm so excited to be here.
Awesome. So before we dive into it about the 5 surprising health foods you shouldn't be eating, I would love to know about your story, how less than a year ago you were at this cushy job, and why you left to go to foodbabe.com and do it full time.
I never thought I would be blogging and taking on some of the biggest food corporations for my daily job. I never thought that would actually be my job one day when I started foodbabe.com, which was 2 years ago, in response to a bunch of friends and family that begged me to share my lifestyle with them, my recipes, how I was able to heal myself naturally. About 10 years ago, I suffered appendicitis, and I could have died from this because the initial doctor that saw me told me that there was nothing wrong and asked me to go home. And at that moment, recovering in the hospital room over the holidays in December, I made a commitment to myself. I said, to make myself my number one priority. And I was living the typical American lifestyle before that. You know, I had just gotten out of school. I got a really awesome job at a top management consulting firm, which I thought was my dream job. And I wanted to fit in. I wanted to eat what everybody else was eating. I wanted to live the lifestyle. I wanted to work the crazy hours so that I could, impress my boss and get promoted. And I didn't realize what a toll that was going to be on my health. And so I started to slowly teach myself the habits on how to live a really clean, organic lifestyle and in this over-processed world and in this corporate environment. And so slowly but surely I started developing all these habits, and my coworkers and my friends and family and everyone around me started wondering, like, why is she drinking that green stuff? And, what's going on with this lemon water thing she does every morning? And, how did she go from being like chubby and kind of just not really in shape to being in shape for now over 10 years, maintaining my weight? I mean, to this day, one of my aunts thinks I got work done.
Really? That's amazing.
Yeah. And so, I started foodbabe.com in response to their wanting to know everything that was going on, especially some people at work that were watching my daily habits. They sat next to me in my cubicle and were trying to, mimic what I was doing, and I was teaching them a lot, and they just loved it. And they were like, you know so much about food. You really need to tell everyone, and you need to tell me so I can tell my mom and share it. And I said, okay, sure. And so I started the blog, and I remember I had 20, 25 readers, for the first month or so.
Probably like your friends and your coworkers.
Yeah, I think like my mom and like my best friend read it, and that was about it. And, prior to starting my blog, I was never on social media. So I actually had an intervention from some friends that said, listen, you don't know about anything that's going on in our lives because you are not on Facebook, Vani. And so you need to go on Facebook right now, because how are you going to spread your blog? And I'm like, oh, that's such a good point. So yeah, I'll get on Facebook.
Amazing.
And I started Twitter, and I had no social media experience before that because I was in the corporate world. It was scary to be on Facebook with all of your party pictures. You didn't want your boss finding those.
Totally.
And so, So I got on, and slowly but surely I remember like the first person who commented that wasn't someone I knew, and I was like, whoa, who's this? And little did I know at the time, but I developed this power, and I didn't really understand this power at the time until companies started reacting to my writing. And a lot of things get me energized. I'm an activist at heart. I want to fight for the people. And I was at this yogurt place that's an organic yogurt place, or quote unquote organic yogurt place in Charlotte. And they had all this marketing on saying it was organic. And then when I found out what was really in the ingredients, it started with organic yogurt, but they added trans fat, which is, in a little bit of amount to eat that stuff can cause heart disease. Artificial colors made from petroleum products, artificial flavors, and then other crazy ingredients. And I was just like, what is going on here? This is not truth in advertising. I need to write about it. So I wrote about it, and immediately the president of the company reached out to me and took down all the marketing.
Wow.
And it's because of not me writing about it, but all the people sharing it with their friends and telling their friends about it and being like, watch out. And it just went viral. And of course, the president heard about it through their customer service hotline, and, they listened. And that was pretty amazing at that point, because I realized, okay, I have this voice. My name, Vani, means voice. So I always knew that I had something to voice growing up.
Yeah.
And I was even, nationally ranked debater in high school, and I was just always into research. I'd spend every summer researching at Dartmouth College, and I would bury myself. I quit the cheerleading team to join the debate team. And so it was like that point in time in my life in high school was one of the most exciting times. And I was able to bring that back because I was able to research and get in and fight for the people. And in debate, you weren't really fighting for the people, but you're fighting for your side.
Yeah.
And I've always had that kind of tenacity about me. And so it was coming out.
So I love this. I love your story. And not to interrupt you too much, but I can see the fire in you. And I think it's so interesting also for our viewers, because so many of us are multi-passionate, and there's things that we, have a strong skill set for maybe early on in life, and then they kind of fall away. But it sounds like you've really rediscovered that ability to use all the skills you built up as a debater and bring that into your now incredibly fast-growing career as the food babe. So curious, take me to the point where, I know it wasn't that long ago, where you were still blogging, but you also had your job, and then you made the decision that you were ready to leave your full-time job and do your new business full-time. What was that like?
Well, my friends about a year ago said to me, Vani, you need to make a decision. You need to do this full-time. This is your calling. And I said, oh, that's so nice of them to say that. It's so great. And I wasn't until I really allowed myself to appreciate my own voice and allow myself to understand this is why I was put on this planet. And it wasn't until, in all actuality, I found you, Marie. Oh. And in December, I was in Machu Picchu in Peru, and I was reading a book, and you've had her on here, Danielle Laporte, Firestarter Sessions. And
Dear friend, love her.
Watched one of your interviews with her, and I was reading the book at the same time, and I just found you through a mutual friend, and I couldn't believe that. I was like, number one, where's Marie Forleo been my whole life? Like, why hasn't she been coaching me this whole time to do my, passion? And number two, I was on top of Machu Picchu on December 21st, the day the world was supposed to end. Well, I didn't really think it was going to end.
Yeah.
But, there's some shift, cosmic. I believe in higher powers. So, and I made the decision right there on top of Machu Picchu. And I said to myself, my contract was ending, and I could have gotten another contract because I'm a management consultant. But I said to myself, I'm going to make this happen. I turned over to my husband and I said, are you willing to do this? I'm giving up my salary, and we're going to do this. And I'm going to tell everyone what's in their food, and I want to change the way Americans are eating and the way they think about food, and I'm going to make it my life's mission. And are you on board? And he looked at me, he's like, what have you been waiting for?
That's awesome.
And so it was like everybody else was giving me permission, but not myself.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until I really realized that that's what I needed to do. And it was scary. I tell you, I landed back the first week of January, and I didn't go into an office. I had no boss. I was like, what is going on? This is so weird. And oh my goodness, I got to figure out a way to make some money because I got to pay the mortgage.
Yep.
So I started slowly just, figuring out a way that met my values, partnering with the right companies, the companies I already use and buy, and have loved my whole life, and that provide benefit to the world, and finding and reaching out for those relationships so that I could start, working with them. And everyone can really live the life that they want to live. And what's so amazing is, I didn't realize this at the time, but if people have something that they're really passionate about and they love and they're really good at it, I mean, you have to cherish that, and you have to find out what it is that you can do to share that passion, and no matter what, the money will follow. And I never really believed that. I was like, I had to work hard. I had to keep my job. It was really, I was a management consultant for 13 years of my life.
Yep.
And to give all that up, I was successful too, and I was just to give it all up and say bye was a tough transition mentally. And then the thought of going back and being a management consultant totally freaks me out. And I wake up every single day right now, and I put my feet on the ground, and I still live in the same condo or surrounded by the same people that I used to work with. And I walk down the street and I just smile, and I'm like, haha, I'm not in that cubicle anymore. and there's nothing wrong with being in a cubicle, because there's great companies that have cubicles,
but for you, it wasn't the right match.
Right.
And for you, there was a different path.
I needed to be using my voice in a way to change the world. And I really think I was put on this planet to change the world, and I really want to do that.
Vonnie, that was actually the perfect segue to what we're going to talk about next, which is the 5 surprising health foods that we shouldn't be eating. But before we start, I just want to make this point. This is about awareness, so you can learn how to help yourself and your family make better choices. This is not about being perfect. We all have our vices, but we want to make better choices more often. So let's get rolling.
Well, the first one is, and this one is a really tricky topic, because a lot of people, when they go out to eat and when they order a sandwich, when they, go for lunch or whatever, they order the whole wheat bread. And the whole wheat bread at different major fast food chains, for example, Subway, the 9-grain bread. Everyone thinks that the 9-grain bread is like the hallelujah sandwich.
Right.
And you get it, and you get your veggies on it, and it's under 300 calories, and you're good to go.
Totally.
But that sandwich has probably close to over 50 ingredients in it. And the sandwich actually has an ingredient in there, along with a slew of other ingredients, that is a dough conditioner that is banned in Europe. If you get caught using it in Singapore, you get fined $450,000.
Jesus.
It's banned in Australia, but we still use it here in the United States. And let me just try to say this word, because it's a long word. Azacarbonamide. I can't even say it.
We could put it at the bottom of the screen, because I know, which actually it's funny and it's not funny, because to think that that's what we're putting in our bodies, we can't even pronounce it, but it's going in our food system, so we'll just lay it down there, but keep going.
No, yeah. I still can't say it right.
Yeah.
I tried to memorize it before I came here today, and I still cannot say this word right. It's just a long chemical name.
Yeah.
And it actually the reason why it's so controversial is it gives people asthmatic symptoms and allergies. And it's really sad. It's a really sad ingredient. But what you can do instead, that's the important thing.
Yes.
So if you are at Subway, don't recommend it, but if you are at Subway, get the salad, get a whole avocado on top. An avocado has protein added to it, and that's a way to really enjoy a meal without any major toxins, and you're getting some really healthy fat with the avocado.
Awesome. So we're going to stay away from the whole grain, whole wheat bread, generally speaking, and we're going to go just for a salad. That's what we're going to opt for.
That's right.
Awesome.
And if you do go for bread, and you love bread, I really love this Ezekiel bread.
Yes! I got to say, I'm going to lift up the Ezekiel. I have so many loaves of this in my house. I can't even tell you. We go through this like wildfire.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
And
love the Ezekiel.
It's so amazing because there's no flour in it. It's actually a whole grain. So that's the way our body was intended to actually digest grains, and it actually gives us more energy that way, because flour, what it does is just it spikes our insulin level and promotes fat gain, so that's not good.
Not so good. All right, what's number 2?
All right, number 2 is agave nectar.
Oh God, I'm guilty of this one. Tell me about it.
Well, agave, got really popular because the raw vegans found a sweetener that they could have that was raw and vegan and was as close to nature as they thought. to put in a lot of different desserts and other sweetened items.
Yeah,
and,
like your morning drinks, anything.
Right. And, it's a liquid base, so it replaced honey for people who are concerned about, the bees and things like that. And what they found is actually agave nectar has a higher concentration of fructose and almost 80% more higher concentration than high fructose corn syrup.
Whoa.
And what that means is that, the first thing your liver processes is fructose. It's either alcohol or fructose. And if fructose is going straight to your liver's not in its fat burning mode. And so what that does is it promotes visceral fat, all the fat around your midsection.
Damn. Belly fat. Agave, belly fat. Agave, belly fat is pretty much what we're saying.
Yeah, exactly.
Jeez.
Exactly. So what I love to recommend for people is coconut palm sugar. Coconut palm sugar comes straight from the coconut tree. It's dried sap off the tree.
Awesome.
It has all the minerals and vitamins. It's a 1-to-1 substitution for sugar. It's low glycemic, so it's great for people who are on the diabetic spectrum or are concerned about their glycemic level. Or if you're really concerned, you can go with stevia and Sweet Leaf here. They have a stevia that doesn't have all the fillers and the crazy stuff going on. There are stevia products, though, that are dreadful. Examples of those are like Truvia and Pure Vita that are owned by Coca-Cola and PepsiCo, respectively. And they have this crazy 40-step patented process to completely process the stevia to hell and just take a really natural, beautiful plant that adds a lot of sweetness and just destroy it.
Oh
so I wouldn't recommend those.
Okay, great. So if we're going to do stevia, we're going to do Sweet Leaf.
Yes.
Awesome. Where are we going next?
All right, so the third one here, let's talk about Gatorade.
Gatorade, right. So we're going to talk about Gatorade, even though we don't have a Gatorade to hold. We didn't even want to bring it in the studio. It's so toxic. Tell us why, Vonnie.
Well, Gatorade is like one of those things that like my parents and I'm sure your parents gave to you when you were sick.
Yep.
And when you were under the weather and like you're out on the soccer field or cheerleading or whatever you're doing when you were little and your parents would bring you Gatorade because they didn't want you to get dehydrated. And it is one of the worst things ever because what Gatorade really is a bunch of sugar and chemicals with salt. And until recently, it had this really controversial ingredient called brominated vegetable oil, BVO, which is actually still in Powerade today. And it's something that's banned in other countries and is a flame retardant.
Jesus.
Yes.
That's insane.
Yeah, it's crazy. So what I like to tell people is look to nature for electrolytes. Like coconut water is so amazing for electrolytes. And you want to make sure you get a really good coconut water, though, because there's a bunch of coconut waters. I did not know this until I started researching it, but are made from coconuts from all over the world, and they use the concentrate, and so all the electrolytes are kind of diminished. But what you want to do is go for a raw coconut water, and
Yes.
Harmless Harvest, who's based in New York, here in New York, is amazing.
Awesome. And you know what we'll do? We're going to put links to all of Vonnie's recommendations below. So if you're listening, you're like, I can't write all this down. We're going to have it below the video.
And another really great electrolyte booster is celery.
Really?
Yes, like you can either eat the celery or you can juice it and like combine it with a little lemon and a little apple. That's just a great way to keep electrolytes. The third option to keep electrolytes, just to mention it, is chia seeds. Chia seeds, when they're soaked in water, they soak up 10 times the amount of water. And when you eat that, it keeps your body hydrated. And so like Aztecs back in the day would eat these seeds, and that would be the only thing they would have all day, and it would keep them hydrated, which is crazy to think about.
It's such a power food. I know Josh has been pushing chia seeds on me for a while, and it's only like after I meet you and my dear friend Chris Carr that he's like, oh, of course, all the ladies tell you what's good for you and now you eat them. I'm like, that's how it goes. But that's awesome to know about chia seeds. Very cool. So do we have one more?
We do. Actually, we have two.
Two more.
We have two more.
Awesome.
So almond milk.
Almond milk. Oh, no. What's up with almond milk? Tell us, Vonnie.
Well, almond milk inherently is absolutely wonderful. Usually it's just almonds and water in a blender. Like 4 cups of water, 1 cup of almonds that are soaked overnight in a blender, strained. Makes beautiful almond milk. Perfect. Your body can assimilate it. It's great. But the almond milk that you buy at the store.
Yes.
9 times out of 10 has an ingredient called Carrageenan. And Carrageenan is derived from a seaweed plant, so it seems very natural.
Right.
But what happens is when they derive it and they process it, it can be contaminated with degraded Carrageenan. And what that does is when you eat it, it can disrupt the whole GI tract. So all the people that have irritable bowel syndrome and other gastrointestinal issues, bloating and other things, could be caused by Carrageenan. And Carrageenan is not only in almond milk, but it's in all sorts of dairy products like cottage cheese and sour cream and cream cheese and ice creams and other things like that.
So is it important for us, because I've purchased almond milk from the store, so I just need to really look at my labels now, and if it has that in it, it's not getting in my little shopping cart.
Yeah, forget it. I know that the Whole Foods brand 365 doesn't use Carrageenan, which is great. So that's a great option. Or make it at home. And that's what I do. And I love it because it's 2 ingredients. It's super easy. It's always fresh.
Right.
Lasts a few days in the fridge. It's awesome.
Perfect. Okay, what's our final food?
Frozen yogurt.
Oh my goodness, frozen yogurt. What's gone wrong? Tell us.
Well, frozen yogurt is like an invented thing. It's not something that we've had a really long time in America. I mean, it was invented in the late 1960s. And what they found was, they wanted to make a healthy version of ice cream. So they started freezing yogurt, and everyone started complaining about the taste. They said, it's tart and it's not that sweet, and I still want my ice cream.
Right.
Well, the food manufacturers listened to that, and they said, we're going to add more sugar. We're going to make it more processed. We're going to add a bunch of artificial colors, and we're going to add a bunch of other crazy ingredients that does your body no good. And so what happened is that frozen yogurt ended up being something totally crazy. And when you go into a frozen yogurt place and you ask to look at their product before they put it in the machine, it looks like Kool-Aid.
Oh my God, really?
Yeah, it looks like Kool-Aid. It's so processed that the probiotic content, the whole reason why you want to have yogurt in the first place, all those beneficial bacteria in your gut, they're pretty much diminished in that powdered product.
That's disgusting. So what should we do? No frozen yogurt at all? Or is there any good brands? Or should we just look someplace else for a little sweet?
Well, Red Mango actually has, they've been paying attention to how much probiotics are in their frozen yogurt. And they've figured out the freezing process in order to keep some of the beneficial bacteria. And they're one of the cleanest ones that I researched recently, which was really great. And I would recommend going for the plain variety so you don't get the artificial colors. You're not getting any of the other crazy flavorings that could be in there. And so if you are there, you can get the plain yogurt, you can get some fruit on top and some nuts or something. But, if you're going to go for something sweet and amazing, why not go for the real thing, go for real ice cream, do a little bit of it, or make your own. And I love making my own with coconut milk right here. And this is an organic coconut milk that's available by Native Forest. It doesn't have BPA in the can, which is so awesome. That's another toxin we want to avoid. That's available, that's in typical canned products. This, all you do, it's so amazing. You really put this in a blender with whatever flavorings you want. A little vanilla, maybe a frozen banana, or maybe some other type of fruit, and make whatever chocolate, whatever flavor you want, and then throw it in an ice cream machine. It is amazing.
That's great. I need to get myself an ice cream machine because that's one little piece of equipment that I don't have. I love it.
Yeah, and for a lot of people who are trying to avoid dairy because of environmental reasons or because they're vegan or whatever, and I think coconut milk is the way to go. And plus, coconut is a powerhouse ingredient. It speeds up the metabolism. It's got that medium chain fatty acid in there that really helps you build the right amino acids, and I just love it. So.
Awesome. Vonnie, thank you so much. So once again, all the list of what we talked about is right below this video so you can have it for yourself. Vonnie, I just want to acknowledge you for your courage and your commitment, not only to just being such a beacon of light, but to bringing such transparency to our food system and being an advocate for all of us. Thank you so much for the work you do, and thank you for being here.
Thank you so much, Marie. It is a true honor.
If you want to learn more about Vonnie and her incredible work, please go visit her and sign up for updates at foodbabe.com. Now, Vonnie and I would love to hear from you. What's the single biggest insight that you are taking away from this interview today? As always, the best conversations happen after the episode over at marieforleo.com, so go there and leave a comment now. Did you like this video? I certainly did. If you did, like it, subscribe, and share it with your friends. And if you want even more great resources to create a business and life that you love, plus some personal insights from me that I only talk about in email, get your buns over to marieforleo.com and sign up for email updates. Stay on your game and keep going for your dreams because the world needs that special gift that only you have. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time on Marie TV. B-School is coming up. Want in? For more info and free training, go to joinbschool.com.
As a cardamom, as a carbon.
We should not be eating this if we can't even say it.
Don't put it on my ingredient list.
Don't put it on my ingredient list.